This video is sponsored by Squarespace. What's going on, guys? Billy here, and I had to jump on here to discuss my new favorite feature in the Mavic 3 series of drones. It's called Vision Assist and was just recently added in the newest firmware update. I actually made a full video on all the changes that was introduced in that update. It was fairly large, so I'll leave that linked up at the top corner as well as down in the description. But by far, my favorite change, my favorite feature added is this Vision Assist functionality that really has changed the way that I fly drones. Now, one of the most popular types of shots to capture with a drone is the orbit, and when I'm flying, I'm constantly moving laterally to track subjects, reveal landscapes, and make my shots more dynamic. Basically, my philosophy is the more movement, the better, so I'm always trying to introduce different styles of flying into my shots. Now, the big issue when you're doing this is you can't see beside the drone when you're flying side to side. Sure, you could rely on the obstacle avoidance sensors, and you could also just fly purely line of sight, but you can't always bank on the sensors saving you in case of an obstacle in the way. Not to mention, I'm pretty much always flying in sport mode, which completely turns those sensors off. And when I was flying a drone that isn't the Mavic 3, I put this thing right into a tree. I unfortunately have had many drones fall to a similar fate of crashing because I'm paying attention to the shot that I'm capturing and am in a sense flying blind. Now, to try and alleviate this issue, larger drone platforms that are built for more complex video shooting and higher end cinematography work actually allow you to connect two controllers to the same drone, with one of the remotes being responsible for actually flying and piloting the drone, while the other is responsible for controlling the camera. So in the case of the Inspire 3, you've got one pilot and one camera operator, and the pilot has a dedicated FPV camera on the front of the drone. This means that the pilot can always be flying forwards and always see what's in front of the drone, while the camera operator just moves the camera around to try and get the shot that they're trying to capture. Now, this is great, but it kind of makes things cumbersome, right? Like, you've always got to have two people flying. You've always got to make sure that you're in communication trying to get that shot. Wouldn't it be nice if we were able to just see to the side of a drone like the Mavic 3 when flying? Well, now we can. So with this new feature, as I mentioned, called Vision Assist, you can now swipe on your map view in the bottom left corner to reveal a view directly from your obstacle avoidance cameras. You can look forwards, to the right, backwards, and to the left. You can even switch this view to be full screen if you wanted, but I prefer to keep it tucked away in the bottom corner so I can reference it when I need it. Now, to make this even easier to use, this view will switch automatically depending on which direction the drone is flying, so you don't have to constantly switch the view manually. So for example, if I'm flying to the left, it'll show me what's to the left of the drone. If I fly to the right, it'll show me what's to the right. Forwards, it'll show me forwards, and backwards, it'll show me backwards. Now, you can lock one of these directions, though, if you just want to look in one specific direction, regardless of your drone's movement, but they make it really easy to customize this as you need it. Now, taking a quick step back, the Mavic 3 is the first line of drones from DJI to get this upgraded obstacle avoidance hardware, so the cameras are higher resolution and provide a wider field of view. This gives us a more reliable obstacle avoidance system, and it now means that using these cameras as a method of actually looking around the drone is more feasible than with the older cameras. You really don't understand how much of a difference this actually is until you look at both of the types of sensors right next to each other. It's hard to think that the older camera hardware was even capable of seeing anything, but it did get the job done during its time. This new hardware, however, is way better. So I just recently got back from a trip to British Columbia. We landed in Vancouver. We then drove up to Whistler, then took a car ferry over to Vancouver Island, where we spent most of our time in Tofino. Now, while I was there is when the firmware update dropped for the Mavic 3, so that was when I was mainly using the Vision Assist feature. I brought two drones with me on that trip, the Mavic 3 Pro and the Air 3, and let me just say that this was such a game-changing feature right out of the gate. As soon as I started using it, Vision Assist was that the Air 3 spent a lot of time in my bag in favor of flying the Mavic 3 Pro. Now, probably my favorite clips that I captured were just outside of Tofino chasing the boat that we took out to a remote set of islands. It was the perfect conditions, smooth water, clear skies, and the boat was cruising just a bit slower than the max speed of my Mavic 3 Pro, so I was able to rip in sport mode and get some really dynamic shots. We also had some low clouds rolling over the trees, which made for some really unique shots from the air. Now, once we finally got to our destination, we ditched the boat for some kayaks and explored some of the different remote islands out there, and let me just say that the views were amazing. Now, let's get to the trip back, because I was chasing after the boat, and this flight could have ended in catastrophe if I didn't have the Vision Assist feature. You see, I was tracking the boat from the side, getting a nice profile shot, when I noticed through those side cameras that a cluster of trees was getting close to my drone. Because of this, I was able to gradually increase my altitude so that I could maintain this clean shot. I didn't want to abruptly stop and ruin it. I actually think it made the shot look even cooler as some of the trees made their way into the bottom of the frame, giving me a foreground element in front of the boat that I was chasing. Vision Assist is the reason that this shot happened. It's the reason that I was able to continue to move my drone up and over the trees in a dynamic way to continue my shot, and it's ultimately the reason why I was able to come home with a drone in one piece. I mean, I was flying my drone at full speed in sport mode. I had the stick fully pinned to the right, and if I was flying the Air 3 in sport mode, I would have run into one of those trees. I wouldn't have been able to see what was coming my way, and I would have been going home probably with my tail between my legs because it would have been really tough to try and find that drone on some remote island way up on top of a mountain. I really probably wouldn't have been mad about the actual drone itself. I would have been more mad about the SD card and all of the good photos and videos that were on there. But nonetheless, I was flying the Mavic 3 Pro at the time, and I could easily see what was coming to the side of my drone. And that's why this is such a game changer. It's because it gives me such great peace of mind knowing that I can see what's around my drone at all times, and I'm not flying blind. Now, really quickly before we move on, let's hear a quick word from this video's sponsor, Squarespace. Just recently, I completely overhauled my Squarespace site with a brand new template to give it a clean feel. It was difficult to choose a template because of all of the great options that Squarespace offers, but I eventually found one that allowed me to share my images and information the way that I wanted. Redoing my website was seamless as the new Fluid engine made it easy to customize every aspect to my liking. I've been looking to find the best place to share my content online, and doing it on my own terms with Squarespace allows me to completely customize the experience. My website is like a central hub for all of my photos and videos, and I'm the one that gets to control how it looks and functions. To keep on top of how my website is performing, Squarespace's analytics go in depth so that I can see how much traffic my website is getting, what area my website is being viewed the most, and I can see which web pages and which content is performing the best. So a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video and helping me display my work online for over half a decade. Now, quickly switching gears here, with the new 70mm focal length on the Mavic 3 Pro, I think Vision Assist gives me the most amount of comfort when flying using this camera simply because of how constricting it feels with the narrow field of view. Even being able to look straight forward while shooting is great because you get a much wider, more natural look at what's in front of the drone. The same goes for those tracking shots too. If you wanted to fly sideways or capture an orbit shot, your distance from the subject will have to be greater to account for the focal length. So Vision Assist really gives me great peace of mind, especially when using this tight focal length of this 70mm medium tele camera. So this kind of brings me to my final point here. This new Vision Assist feature is such a great navigation tool. Like, just being able to give you such better situational awareness around the drone. I mean, being able to see in any direction with the push of a button is something that really makes navigating with this drone in tight spaces so easy. I live in Pennsylvania and do a lot of work over in New Jersey, and both of these states have a lot of trees. So when I'm doing real estate shoots and I've got trees throughout a yard, it's always difficult to try and navigate around and get good shots of the home. But being able to have this Vision Assist feature gives me eyes around my entire drone, and it gives me such great peace of mind knowing I'm not going to crash in front of my client or in front of the homeowner into a tree, which would be super embarrassing. I mean, just imagine now with Vision Assist being able to capture some shots that originally made you feel a little uneasy. I can think of 3 off the top of my head. The first of which is got to be the flying backwards pull back reveal shot, right? So if you're flying backwards, you don't know what's behind your drone. You are completely flying blind. So now that you can see directly behind your drone, it allows you to adjust your altitude and position of the drone as necessary to keep it safe from obstacles while you maintain focus on the shot and keep your subject in frame. Also, if you're going to be flying straight forwards, but you have the gimbal pitched straight down, you can now see what's directly in front of the drone while having the camera pointed down to get those awesome top-down shots, again, with great peace of mind. And also, as I've been mentioning this entire time, those orbit shots. It's something I do all the time. So now being able to see what's directly to the side of my drone is going to make my life so much easier. Now, here's the million-dollar question. This is currently a feature that is only available on the Mavic 3 series. So the Air 3, the Mini series, the Inspire 3 even does not have this feature. So when will we see Vision Assist finally make its way out to other drones? Like, I want this immediately on every single drone I own that has this upgraded obstacle avoidance camera hardware. I mean, even the Inspire 3, I mentioned this in the beginning of the video. It's great that you can have dual pilots. It allows you to kind of capture these unique and complex shots, but the real reason you'd want to use dual pilots is so that you don't crash, right? Being able to have full control over the camera and have that other person fly straight forwards to keep the drone safe. But now if I'm able to see around the drone at all times, I don't need a second pilot. I can do everything on my own and do it with more precision because I'm in control of the camera and the drone itself, so I can maneuver it how I need to and make finite adjustments depending on what the subject is that I'm capturing. So think about it, right? This feature can easily be put in all of these drones that have this new upgraded hardware, right? The new cameras, but it's a matter of when DJI is going to make it available for these other drones. And while we're at it, why stop there? Why not bring this over to DJI's enterprise line of drones as well? So the Mavic 3 Enterprise, the Mavic 3 Thermal, the M30, the M30T, the M300, the M350. I mean, all of these drones could greatly benefit from this new feature. I mean, I see a lot of these law enforcement agencies flying these drones in some very sketchy situations, and I'll see the occasional post on Facebook of an agency or of a, task force crashing their drone and getting it stuck in a tree or getting it stuck in a wire. And now just think about it. If they're flying in a tight space trying to, say, find a missing person, they're able to now see around the drone at all times to give them that greater situational awareness. And that's what it comes down to. This vision assist feature gives you greater situational awareness and greater navigation skills with the drone, and it really does feel natural to use. And I know that moving forward is going to save me a bunch from crashing drones like I did when following that boat. Luckily, I was able to get the drone back, but I'm not going to be as lucky in the future, but using Vision Assist is going to help me stay safe. So that's why this is one of my new favorite features, and I don't think I'm going to be able to fly without it because it is just so damn helpful. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on Vision Assist down in the comment section below, and as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.